Bitter criticism. Saturday. Woo! Finally, a cold day, but as I said, that the sun just arise. The sun just appear. I'm going to read some news from Cgtn because yesterday my internet right here in this rat hole, which is Chile, was not showing up. No internet yesterday. So Morning Post, morning news, and I'm going to read Cgtn and then South China morning. I guess it's not morning, it's just South China. Oh, see, I thought that newspaper, it was from Hong Kong, Taiwan. Let's see now. Let's see what happened in Cgtn in China. What China is saying. Cgtn first news about President Xi Jinping. February 15. President Xi Jinping sends congratulatory message to 38 AU Summit, African Union. There's a photograph, the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, capital of Ethiopia, February 14, yesterday. Looked like Xi Jinping was not there, was not in Africa, but he sent a message. Xi Jinping sends a message to African Union Summit. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Saturday sent a message to the 38th African Union AU Summit. This Saturday for me right here in this shithole, which is Chile, is today. But in China it was yesterday. So he sent a message to sends a message to the 38th African Union Summit, extending warm congratulations to African countries and people. In the face of the current complex and intertwined international situation, the global south, represented by China and Africa, has grown significantly, she noted. Over the past year, the AU has united and led African countries in vigorously advancing integration, actively responding to regional and global challenges, and speaking in unison as the voice of Africa, she said. Noting that these efforts have led to a continuous boost in Africa's international status and influence, he sincerely wishes African countries and people even greater success on the path of independence, self-reliance and development. So this is a message to France, I guess. She said that the year 2024 saw vigorous development of China-Africa relations. With the successful Beijing summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, China and Africa have embarked on a new stage of jointly building an all-weather community with a shared future for the new era. This is the motto of China. Maybe the ethos is in between the ethos and motto. No, it's 100% the motto. I will read again. The all-weather community with a shared future for a new era. And she will say, Cgtn will say that Africa recognized the One China policy. That's the motto of Cgtn, but it's nice, you know. It's a newsletter, but it's a very important newsletter. He expressed readiness to work with African leaders to promote the implementation of the 6 proposals for jointly advancing modernization and 10 partnership actions so as to bring more tangible results to benefit over 2.8 billion Chinese and African peoples. Sources: Xinhua News Agency. There's an article about politics. She's article on full rigorous party self-governance and stuff. And there's a foreign minister Wang Yi says China ready to push ties with our Europe. Which Europe country starts with ARG? Argentina. What? I'm going to read this one because Argentina just skipped the how to say it. They turned down the agreement. They say no to BRICS. There's a word for that, but I don't remember now. They double down, I guess. Anyway, Europe, February 15th. Foreign Minister Wang Yi says China ready to push ties with Argentina to new level. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, on the left in the photograph, meets with Argentine Foreign Minister Gerardo Werstein, absolutely a Jew, Werdein, in Munich, Germany, February 14th. China is willing to work with Argentina to push bilateral ties to a new level and bring more benefits to the two peoples, said Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Munich on Friday. China needs wheat and grains like soy, etc., meat, and Argentina needs everything. Argentina, I'm sorry. Wang, also a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, made the remarks when meeting with Argentine Foreign Minister Gerardo Wertheim on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference, saying that Chinese and Argentine people have joined a long-term friendship. Wang said the cooperation between China and Argentina is equal and mutually beneficial. China is willing to work with Argentina to implement the consensus reached by the two heads of state, strengthen high-level exchanges and exchanges in various fields, push bilateral relations to a new level, and bring more benefits to the two peoples, Wang said. Both countries should continue to respect and accommodate each other's core interests and major concerns and consolidate the political foundation of bilateral relations, said the Chinese Foreign Minister. Noting China does not seek any sphere of influence or to engage in geopolitical competition and firmly practices multilateralism in international affairs. Wang said China is willing to work with Argentina and other Latin American countries to firmly uphold the international rule of law and basic norms governing international relations. I hope Chinese people save me. We are starving here. Nah, we are not starving, but I don't know. There's no jobs in South America. There's no what? Well, Chile is the worst country on earth. Energy prices are terrible high. water supply company, they steal, they, as I always say, they promote chaos. The water company is a private, water is privatized. So we need the Chinese company to give us water. That's what we need. We need Chinese company of water, electricity, because it's just way too expensive, irregular, chaotic, etc. These people steal money from people. There's no water, there's no electricity. Neoliberalism make private companies, they are always stealing, and that's it, stealing. Noting China does not seek any sphere of influence. I just read that. Noting the China Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, CELAC, Forum was established 10 years ago. Wang said the forum has strongly promoted cooperation between China and Latin American countries, bringing tangible benefits to peoples in those countries. Look, I don't have water in my house. I don't have water because they are asking me like $300, $25, understand? It's way just too expensive. No, it's just like, it's not, it's like $1,000. It's like $1,000 just to give me back my water. Why? I ask sincerely, does in any country on earth ask for $1,000 if you were paying your debts? And well, there's a theory that says that the previous owner had this debt, but why I should pay for other people's debt? Why? You know the answer. This is a very Latin American answer, because I denounce problems with sanitization problems. I denounce wherever I go in this city, in this region, there's a lot of problems with water, with wastewater. There's wastewater, water with shit, understand? Shit water everywhere in the city. There's a lot of problems. And I always recording this, and I always denouncing this. And Instagram is always canceling my channels. Understand? I guess this Esval company, this privatized water company, I guess these people hire hitmans to kill me just because I do that, because I denounce shit water on the streets. What the hell is this? This 18th century, 19th century. There's no water, shit everywhere. This is unbearable. Understand? Anyone will denounce this. Anyone but Chileans. Chileans looks like they live very well with all this shit on the street. Anyway, I denounce this, and the private company don't want to work. They don't want to make their work. And that's the problem in Chile. It's a terrible problem. This to make this the more ironic, to make the situation even more ironic. These people, the Chilean rats, they admire OECD. If you don't know, this is a club. It's nothing, It has zero importance in the world, but Chilean rats, they think OECD is so important. Anyway, developed countries around the world, if they privatize water once, they restart, they went back, they status, like how to say it, they give the enterprise the water to the state again, understand? Because it's not profitable to care about water. Even in capitalism, even developed countries is not profitable. Understand? It's a bad business for everyone. The only good business is shareholders, stakeholders, isn't it? Stakeholders. So we don't have water. There's a lot of shits on Chilean streets, but the stakeholders are making a lot of money with money of people who pay the bills and have terrible service. That's the situation. We have no water in Chile because of stakeholders, because it's privatized. How terrible it is, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on. Noting the China Community of Latin American and Caribbean States CELAC Forum was established 10 years ago, one said the forum has strongly promoted cooperation between China and Latin American countries, bringing tangible benefits to people in those countries. Werdane also said Argentina looks forward to strengthening high-level exchanges and deepening practical cooperation with China during the meeting. While thanking China for supporting Argentina in defending its sovereignty over Malvinas Islands, also known as the Falklands, Werdane said Argentina firmly adheres to the One China principles and is willing to become a reliable and stable cooperative partner of China. So Javier Milei is, people say Javier Milei will not last till the end of this year, 2025, because people are starving in Argentina. You know, neoliberalism is pure chaos, pure chaos. As I said, private companies, they do whatever they want. You know? They even kill people. They kill private companies. They kill people. Anyway, Argentina is willing to play a positive role in promoting the development of Latin America-China relations on the basis of strengthening bilateral relations, Werdane said. And that's it. I guess I'm wasting my time. I'm running out of time. Xi Jinping's article on full rigorous party self-governance to be published. This is a very short note. It's about politics in China. There's a photograph, the emblems of the Communist Party of China. An article by Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China CPC Central Committee, on improving the systems for exercising full and rigorous party self-governance will be published on Sunday. I'm going to read it tomorrow. Maybe the article is right away because today is tomorrow in China. The article about Xi, also Chinese president and chairman of the Central Military Commission, will be published in this year's 4th issue of the Kyushu Journal and a flagship magazine of the CPC Central Committee. Sources: Xinhua News Agency. And now going back to the top 5 from the highlights. Europe Foreign Minister Wang Yi hopes NATO pursue positive and responsible policy toward China. And there's a photograph. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on the right meets with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said on Friday in Munich that China hopes NATO will establish an objective and correct understanding of China and pursue a positive and responsible policy toward China. Wang, also a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, made the remarks when meeting with NATO Secretary Mark Rutte on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. Wang said China is a force for peace and stability, adding that China is the permanent member of the UN Security Council with the largest number of peacekeepers and has become the second largest contributor to UN peacekeeping operations. China has the world's best record on peace and security, the Chinese foreign minister added. One hopes Rutte will encourage NATO to adopt a rational and pragmatic attitude. Noting the geopolitical conflicts continue to escalate nowadays, one hopes that NATO will maintain its position and function as a regional defense organization and play a constructive role for world and regional peace. Rutte said during the meeting that NATO as a regional defense organization has no intention to expand to Asia. Don't listen to West. Don't listen to the West. They are always lying. NATO stands ready to strengthen dialogue and communication with China to enhance mutual understanding and trust, Rutte added. The two sides also exchanged views on the Ukraine crisis. Rutte said that NATO attaches great importance to China's influence and role and hopes that China will play an important role in the solving Russia-Ukraine conflict as early as possible. During the meeting, Wang elaborated on China's principle and position and expressed its willingness to continue to work with all parties to play a constructive role in promoting the political settlement of the crisis and building a balanced, effective and sustainable European security framework. Wang Yi is pure gold. Wang Yi is so cute. Looks like a baby, yeah. I hope maybe Wang Yi will be the next president. Hamas releases hostages, Palestinian prisoners freed in latest swap. Oh, so this is a good news to prevent the resume of war. The resume of war. And there's a huge news here. Top 5 from the highlights on Cgtn. Europe. From tariffs to Ukraine, growing US-Euro rifts on display at Munich is an article about Munich conference. Chen Guifang. There's a photograph. US Vice President J.D. Vance speaks during the 61st Munich Security Conference in Munich, Southern Germany, February 14. A forum initially established to strengthen transatlantic cooperation has found itself at the center of a stage showcasing the growing transatlantic divide on a wide range of issues, from tariffs, trade to Ukraine and defense spending, to name just a few. The 3-day 61st Munich Security Conference, MSC, kicked off on Friday with German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier accusing the U.S. administration under President Donald Trump of recklessly disregarding long-standing international rules in his keynote address. Quote, "The new American administration has a very different worldview of ours, one that has no regard for established rules, partnership and established trust," end quote, said Steinmeier. Quote, "But I am convinced that it is not in the interest of the international community for this worldview to become the dominant paradigm, end quote." Speaking at the MSC is like a cruiser company. MSC, I guess. Speaking at the MSC on the same day, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance cited a Thursday car attack in Munich and called on Europe to do more to curb illegal migration, calling it the continent's most urgent challenge. In response, German government spokesperson Stefan Hebestreit said outsiders should not be, quote, meddling in the international affairs of a friendly country, end quote. There's a photograph. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, speaks during the Munich Security Conference in Munich, February 14. In addition, in response to the recent announcement by the Trump administration to impose steep steel and aluminum tariffs, and his plan to swapping quote-unquote reciprocal tariffs, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen delivered a strong rebuttal at the MSC, not a cruiser line. Quote, unjustified tariffs against the European Union will not be left without a response. We will take proportional and clear countermeasures, end quote, said von der Leyen. She also made it clear that if the US continues to exert economic pressure, Europe will further enhance its strategic autonomy, including increasing protection for domestic industries. Following von der Leyen remarks, Vance told reporters that the United States will not compromise on economic interests, implying that the tariff policy is aimed at ensuring a fair competitive environment for American workers and businesses. Analysts believe the Trump administration unilateral quote-unquote America First approach and policy have exacerbated the tensions between the US and Europe. Wang Shu, a professor of the School of International Relations and Beijing Foreign Studies University, told China Media Group (CMG) that this year's Munich Security Conference seems to have returned to its traditional theme of the transatlantic alliance, with the growing divide between the US and Europe becoming a focus. There are significant differences between the US and Europe on various issues, including trade, tariffs, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, defense, climate change, global governance, and regional conflicts, said Wang. The US-Europe rift on seeking a peaceful resolution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, a high agenda at the MSC, has been evident. Vance reaffirmed the United States' desire to facilitate a swift ceasefire and said that Trump has already engaged in direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin to seek a quote-unquote workable solution. Trump and Putin had a 90-minute phone call on Wednesday when the two leaders agreed to work together to initiate talks to end the Ukraine crisis, and said they will meet in person, probably in Saudi Arabia. Shortly after speaking with Putin, Trump also had a phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. However, several European countries approached the direct US-Russia talks with caution, voicing concerns about being sidelined and fearing that Ukraine's interests might be quote-unquote bargained away, and that European security could be compromised as a result. Quote, any deal behind our backs will not work. Any agreement will need also Ukraine and Europe being part of it, end quote, said Kaja Kallas, the European Union's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, at a NATO Defense Minister meeting in Brussels. Paula Pinho, chief spokesperson for the European Commission, echoed these sentiments at a regular press conference on Saturday. Quote, Ukraine's security is Europe's security. Ukraine's security is Europe's security, she said. Quote, if there is a discussion about Ukraine's security, Europe is concerned. If there is a discussion about Europe's security, it also involves Ukraine, end quote. Wang, the professor at the Beijing Foreign Studies University, said Europe seems to have a contradictory attitude of seeking both appeasement and confrontation with the United States, which is especially evident regarding the Ukraine crisis. From the US perspective, Europe has been seen as taking advantage of America. So Europe is urgent to bear more costs, especially to serve American interests, said Wong. From the European perspective, on one hand, it hopes to continue strengthening cooperation with the US to safeguard its own interests, particularly in terms of security. And on the other hand, there is also significant concern in Europe that the US is adhering to its America First policy might harm European interests, he analyzed. A poll by the European Council on Foreign Relations, a think tank in Germany, released on Wednesday, showed that Europeans are more likely to call the US merely a quote-unquote necessary partner than an ally. What a provocations! Well, my time is up. I'm going to stop here, and but I have time to read all. German public opinion generally believes that the current US-Europe differences go beyond policy positions and reflects deeper contradictions in their understanding of the international order and global governance models. Thomas Fassbender, a geopolitics editor at the German newspaper Berliner Zeitung, told CMG that the most fundamental US-Europe divergence stems from a paradigm shift brought by the change of US administration. Especially this shift is from a values-oriented approach that emphasizes the rules-based international order to a transaction-oriented policy, he said. This is very tough for Europeans. This is very tough for Europeans because they find themselves being marginalized and excluded from the process of major issues, said Fassbender. And there's a last news. OpenAI board unanimously rejects Musk's 97.4 billion proposal. So Elon Musk tried to buy OpenAI. I guess they did this. I guess that they did the right thing. Everybody knows these companies, the high-tech companies, they value more than they looks like, I guess. But I guess DeepSeek is, who knows? I guess DeepSeek is better. Everybody says that.